Hello, students, and welcome. So today, we're going to go on a bit of a journey that's millions and millions of years old. We're going to find out how India's giant mountains, these incredible peaks, actually came to be. From the very beginning to the mighty Himalayas, let's get right into this amazing story. So first things first, let's start with a really basic question. We always hear these words, right? Bahar, Pitar, Maidan. Mountains, plateaus, and plains. But have you ever stopped to think, what's actually the difference between them? Let's break it down in a really simple way. Okay, so the big secret here, it's all about elevation, height. And we measure this height from what's called mean sea level, or MSL. Now, if you look at this diagram, it's pretty clear. Landforms up to about 100 meters, we call those plains. Then, between 100 and 1,000 meters, you've got your plateaus. And anything over 1,000 meters, that's what we call a mountain. Simple, right?
Now, before we actually start, climbing these massive mountains, it's really important to understand the ground they're standing on. What is the actual structure of the land itself? So let's get into the basics of our landforms.
India's geography, it's pretty much defined by its mountains. And this isn't some new idea. It's been around forever. Even our ancient texts, like the Vishnu Purana, mention it. There's a shloka that says, "The country that lies north of the ocean and south of the Himalayas is called Bharat." And you can see it right there on the map. From the incredible Himalayas in the north to the ancient Aravalis, these mountains are really the soul of India.
And now for the main event, the story of the one mountain range that's the tallest in the entire world. And let me tell you, this isn't just some ordinary story. It's an epic saga. This is the birth of the Himalayas. Let's find out how it all happened.
Okay, so let's jump in our time machine. We're going way, way back, 250 million years ago. Back then, all the world's continents were smashed together into one giant supercontinent called Pangaea. Then, about 200 million years ago, Pangaea started to break apart. India was part of a southern chunk called Gondwanaland, and that's when India's journey began. A long, long trip north, moving at what is, for geology, a super fast speed. And then finally, about 20 to 30 million years ago, bam! The Indian plate collided with the Eurasian plate, and that colossal crash gave birth to the Himalayas.
Just look at these two pictures. They tell the whole story perfectly, don't they? On one side, you've got Pangaea, that single landmass, and on the other, the world as we know it today. All of this change happened because of something called continental drift. The ground beneath our feet, it isn't static. It's constantly on the move. India traveled thousands and thousands of kilometers to get to where it is today. So how in the world do entire continents just move around? Well, the science behind it is called the tectonic plate theory, an idea put forward by Alfred Wegener. The theory says that the Earth's outer shell is broken up into several huge pieces, or plates. These plates are kind of just floating on the hot, semi-liquid layer underneath. And when these plates crash into each other, that's when mountains are born. Now, this is a really, really important concept for your exams, so make sure you make a note of it.
So, here's the crucial part. When the Indian plate hit the Eurasian plate, it didn't just create the Himalayas. That impact was so powerful, it also pushed up the huge Tibetan Plateau. And all these massive mountain ranges, the Himalayas, the Hindu Kush, the Kunlun Shan, they all seem to radiate out from one central point, a point called the Pamir Knot, or as it's famously known, the roof of the world.
Okay, so now we get how the Himalayas were formed. But are all mountains made in the same way? Absolutely not. So let's take a look at the different types of mountains that exist. And just a heads up, this is another really important topic for your competitive exams.
Broadly speaking, we can sort mountains into 4 main families, all based on how they were born. You need to remember these 4 names. First, you have fold mountains. Second, block mountains. Third, volcanic mountains. And fourth, residual mountains. Let's take a closer look at each one.
First up, fold mountains. These are formed when 2 tectonic plates collide and the layers of the Earth get squeezed and folded, kind of like a piece of cloth when you push it from both ends. And the best example of this? Of course, it's the Himalayas. And one thing you have to remember is that geologically speaking, the Himalayas are young fold mountains. Next, we have block mountains. These happen when cracks or faults in the Earth's crust cause huge blocks of land to either get pushed up or to drop down. The parts that go up form the mountains. In India, some really important examples are the Vindhya and Satpura ranges, and also the Western Ghats. Definitely write those down.
Our third type is volcanic mountains, and as the name suggests, these are formed when volcanoes erupt and spew out lava and ash. Over thousands of years, this material builds up layer upon layer to create a mountain. In India, Gurnar Hill and Gujarat, and a large part of the Deccan Plateau, are the results of ancient volcanic activity.
And finally, we have residual mountains. These are basically the leftover parts of ancient mountains that have been worn down by wind, rain, and ice over millions and millions of years. And the number one example in India is the Aravalli Range. Now, this is a crucial point for your exams. While the Himalayas are young, the Aravallis are one of the oldest mountain ranges in the entire world. We're talking 450 to 650 million years old.
All right, let's circle back to the Himalayas. Now, you have to understand, the Himalayas aren't just one single mountain range. No, it's a whole complex system of parallel ranges all lined up. Let's break it down one range at a time.
First, where did the name Himalaya come from? Well, it's from two Sanskrit words, Him, which means snow, and Alay, which means home. So Himalaya literally means the home of snow. Now, when we look at its structure, we usually divide it into two main parts, the Trans-Himalaya and the main Himalaya. Let's start with the Trans-Himalayas. This part has three main ranges, and you absolutely must remember this order, going from north to south. At the very top is the Karakoram, then comes Ladakh, and then Zanskar. So please memorize this order, Karakoram, Ladakh, Zanskar, KLZ.
Okay, now for the main Himalayas. This is also made of three parallel ranges, again arranged from north to south. For this north, you have the Great Himalaya, also called Himadri. This is the highest range. In the middle is the Lesser Himalaya, or Himachal Range, and to the far south is the Outer Himalaya, known as the Shivalik Range. This is the youngest of them all.
Let's just zoom in on the Karakoram Range for a moment. As you can see on the map, it's right up there in the northernmost part of India. Geographically, it's in a very strategic spot, located near the line of control and the line of actual control. In fact, the world's highest battlefield, the Siachen Glacier, is located right in this range.
Okay, I really hope you've all been taking notes. After covering all of that, how about we do a little test? Just a quick fire revision round, exactly like you'd see in an exam. Let's see what you've learned.
Question number 1. Which of the following is not a part of the Trans-Himalaya? Is it Zanskar, Ladakh, Karakoram, or Shivalik? I'll give you a few seconds. The correct answer is D, Shivalik. Why? Because remember, Shivalik is the southernmost range of the main Himalayas.
Question number 2. Which of the following is the highest peak of the Trans-Himalayas? Is it Nanga Parbat, Mount Everest, K2, or Comet? And the right answer is C, K2, which is also known as Godwin Austen. It's in the Karakoram Range, and it's the highest peak in India.
And the final question for our little quiz. The Karakoram Range is home to which important glacier? Pindari, Zemu, Siachen, or Gangotri? Yes, that's it. The answer is C, the Siachen Glacier. Well done. Before we finish up, let's just do one last quick revision using this table. It really sums things up nicely. Just notice the difference. Fold mountains, like the Himalayas, formed by plate collision, are super young. And then you have residual mountains, like the Aravallis, formed by erosion, and they are incredibly old. This table is a fantastic tool for revision, so maybe you should take a quick screenshot.
So I'd like to leave you with a final thought. On one hand, you have the Aravallis, these ancient mountains that are slowly weathering away. And on the other hand, you have the Himalayas, which are still growing taller every single year. What does this constant cycle of birth and decay, of creation and erosion, tell us about the future of our planet? It's definitely something to think about. That's all for this explainer. अगर आपको ये वीडियो हेल्पफुल लगा हो तो प्लीज़ लाइक, शेयर और चैनल को सब्सक्राइब करना मत भूलना। सारे PDFs के लिए मेरा टेलीग्राम चैनल ज्वाइन करें, लिंक डिस्क्रिप्शन में है।